Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course, and as you can see from the title of this video, we have to talk about Carlos King's interview with Kirk and Rasheeda Frost from Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I want to talk about some things that he said in regards to cheating and marriage, because we all know what Kirk has done. And before we get into it all, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video and please subscribe to the channel. Everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. And the Copyright Act of 1976 says that my fair use commentary on these sound bites are allowed. So we all know that Carlos King was once a producer on Love and Hip Hop Atlanta several seasons ago, in those first few seasons of the show. Rasheeda and Kirk Frost have been on Love and Hip Hop since the beginning of the Atlanta franchise. Kirk and Rasheeda have been married for more than 20 years now, and during season 6, we learned that Kirk Frost not only cheated on Rasheeda, but he produced a baby with his mistress, Jasmine, a young son named Cannon. During the interview, they talked about all of the wealth that they have been blessed to generate. Even Rasheeda's two most popular rap songs, Bubblegum and Marry Me, still generates income to this day because she wrote those songs. They own the publishing, and those songs have been featured on several TikTok videos going viral, as well as being featured in movies and TV shows. Just a couple months ago, the actor Leonardo DiCaprio, he did an Instagram reel, and I want to say he did it off of Marry Me by Rasheeda. And so they talked about their entire journey from when she started out in the rap group The Capers, and just Kirk Frost starting his company in the 90s and present day. So when they talked about infidelity, they talked about the pain that Kirk put Rasheeda through and how people called Rasheeda the dumbest woman in America. And people talk about Kirk Frost and his 3 earrings. Shout out to K. Michelle, who was also on Love and Hip Hop. And so I want to talk about, there's a couple of sound bites that we're going to get into. And one is about Rasheeda saying how, none of her real friends told her to leave Kirk Frost after he cheated. And Carlos saying that it is, not popular to stay in a marriage in the Black community when it comes to fidelity. And I found that to be so interesting because I'm thinking, well, my friends who are of different races, I don't think they are staying either. But let's get into it.
Not the first woman. This is the thing. I love Fun Shade. I think Fun Shade is funny. Mm-hmm. You two have a sense of humor, right? Mm-hmm. When people say things like, Rasheeda, Kirk is trying to leave you, but you won't let him.
Oh, well, wait. Kirk, blink 2 times if you need some help.
Yeah, like, Rasheeda, Kirk wants to leave. Like,
nigga,
right? Or like, let this man cheat in peace. So, like, but I also know some real shit, and this is nobody's fault. Mm-hmm. When you are a public figure and you have the world saying to you, leave this man, leave him. Mm-hmm. How were you able to drown out the noise, to really pay attention to what you were going through as a wife and a mother?
Yeah, it was so tough. Like, people, they talked on it now, but they have no idea like how heavy that was. Like, it was so heavy that it was like, there was times where I don't think I even came from out of the bed for like a long time. I would say a week. Like, it was really hard. I had conversations with people who were close to me. You know what I'm saying? All of my friends and the people who really love me, none of them ever told me, leave your husband. None of my real friends.
Family members did, and I was disappointed.
Yeah, some family members did.
I was like,
and all of that. All I could do.
Well,
go ahead.
Kirk, I understand. Look, the thing for me is this. I understand that it's not popular. And I'm going to keep it a buck.
Please do.
It's not popular in our community for a Black man to cheat on his black queen. And I understand it and I get it, and it's wrong and it's unnecessary. Wrong and unnecessary things happen in this world, right? We have Jay-Z, Beyonce dealing with infidelity, and they were able to deal with it in their own way. There were women who dealt with their husbands having a break baby or a baby outside their marriage, and they stayed. What I always was confused about is why the two of you seem to be the poster couple for you guys are not couple goals. And I'm confused by that.
I am too. Because for me, if I am going to look at someone's relationship or someone's marriage or, look for anything, I want to know what you've been through. I want to understand it because we've been married 25 years. It ain't always great. Like, it gets real out here.
I think so many people for so many years in Atlanta, like you hear people say, if Kirk and Rasheeda can't make it, then I know we can't make it.
Yeah.
We became like such a couple, and it was like never no wrong. We were like the goal, and when I like up, it made a lot of people were sad. A lot of people would.
Okay, so I wanted to pause it there. So Carlos talks about how it's not popular in the Black community for you to decide that you're going to stay in a marriage where you have been cheated on, or perhaps even a baby was produced. But I feel like that is going to the middle of the problem. You know how when you're hearing about a situation, perhaps it was a disagreement between two people, and you ask someone, okay, well, let's try and work this out. What happened? And they'll say something, and you'll say, now you start in the middle now, take it back to the beginning. I think to talk about it being unpopular to stay in a marriage when there's infidelity, that is going to the middle. You have to go to the beginning of it. The fact that there was infidelity, you have to dig that through. You have to get your hands in that dirt and that soil and dig it all out. And what is in there? Are there any seeds that can flourish and grow into a beautiful plant? Or is there nothing there and the soil is bad? I feel like if the marriage has a rocky foundation, if you're dealing with someone who is abusive or manipulative, like a narcissist, those are not safe environments for a person to be in. They're going to always try and manipulate you and convince you that you are the reason why they are cheating on you. They'll continue to disrespect you via infidelity. It just would not be worth it. So to start in the middle and say, yeah, it's unpopular in the Black community for you to stay after infidelity, that is starting in the middle, almost putting the blame on the women who get cheated on, totally not taking it back to the beginning. Now, if in the beginning includes, well, we started off really solid. We both have been healthy and working. We did not have financial issues. Our kids have been doing great in school. For a while, we were on the right path, and then things changed, something like that. Then I could see perhaps a woman would consider forgiving the man. And we do see this, right? I'm sure we probably all know at least one couple where that was the outcome. But to just say it's unpopular and you're starting in the middle, I feel like you're not taking it back to the beginning. And each relationship is going to be authentic and I don't want to say individualistic, but unique to that couple. You definitely have to look at that situation and see if that is something that is not healthy for you to stay in, because you don't want to raise daughters. You don't want to raise these young girls thinking that, it's popular to leave a marriage that includes infidelity, because then that's putting this message into the little girl's head. You can be above that. You can do what's unpopular and stay. No, you would want to build up a young girl's self-esteem and give her the wisdom that she needs to trust herself and examine, is the entire relationship worth staying in? That's just my take on it. But what did you think about him saying that it was unpopular to stay in a marriage that was toxic? Now, I am queuing up the next soundbite. He's going to circle back around to Beyonce. That wasn't just the only reference that he makes to Beyonce and Jay-Z. So I want to talk about that, especially because Carlos is a producer of reality TV. Therefore, he is in show business. And we all know that in today's age, especially with social media, people are not just on TV, but they actually are selling things. They are trying to do brand partnerships to create that additional stream of income. And I just want you all to have that mindset when you hear this soundbite. So let's get into this. I'm queuing it up for you now.
And that's why we bow down, right? Beyonce wrote Lemonade based on Jay-Z cheating on her, okay? She made millions off of it. It's arguably her best album ever. Jay-Z himself made 444, which was his response. But y'all don't get that. Yeah. It was sort of like back in our day, the hip-hop diss track, like it's my response record. Yeah. Jay-Z's 444 was a response album to Beyonce's Lemonade. And if you listen to it, he talked about him cheating on her, her having the stillborn babies. He talks about the fact that he saw the day the innocence was lost in her eyes. And listen, the Stevie J, Mimi, Jocelyn threesome trifecta was so like out of this world that it was so shocking. But for a lot of people, it wasn't relatable. It was shocking. Right. Seeing this couple deal with that level of infidelity was relatable. Right. And at the end of the day, what I'm proud of the two of you, and you may not get this publicly, but I'll say it, you two, which I can't express enough how proud I am of you two. The fact that you two have decided to like, let's drown out the noise. And let's sit here and let's work on our marriage. Is this marriage worth being saved? I didn't know until today that Jasmine was the only woman you cheated on Rasheeda with. I really thought, based, again, no shade, what I saw on social media, I'm guilty too at times. Right. I thought you had a plethora of women. I thought you were cheating on her for many years. I thought we were all hanging out. I thought that. But the fact that you two allowed yourselves, and this to me is a blessing of God protecting, I'm going to just be real. I love the fact that we didn't see the periods of you trying to gain her trust back because they couldn't attack that.
Right. You
see what I'm saying?
That's exactly.
That would have probably
you said that. You said that.
You see what I'm saying?
You're right.
Yeah. I'm proud that they did not see what y'all go through, because it would have been another attack on. I don't believe him.
Okay, it's that. Yes.
She forgave him too soon.
Yes.
And it's easy. Listen, I'm not here to judge anybody. What I will say is, based on my history of life, I can't tell you how many people I know who dealt with this. And I can't tell you how many people I know who have decided to stay. It's not as odd as people may think it is. And I feel bad that people are calling you out your name, but you don't care. I get it. but I do feel like the people who are calling you dumb is because they decided to leave, and maybe they aren't happy with their decision.
Or maybe they haven't been in a 25-year marriage and don't understand the dynamic of, for better or for worse, and that you take your vows and you take that for real. And it was so tough, but I feel like that's why I guess maybe I shake off, because I'm like, make it through that and a couple other things I done been through. I'm cool. I can stand on business. So I can't allow this world here to get into my head. See, I'm the type who can have to disconnect. I have to disconnect from social media. I have to disconnect from all of that, because I was telling Kirk and a few people the other day, I was like, I see why a lot of people go crazy. It's not hard when you're in this life. That's why I always tell people all the time, because they be like, I want to be on Love and Hip Hop, I want to be on reality. I be like, be careful what you wish for. And let me tell you something, everybody ain't built for this, because it can eat you up and tear you.
Okay, y'all. So I wanted to talk about in that soundbite, Carlos King is talking about Beyonce writing the Lemonade album. He says she made millions off of it, and he said it's arguably her best album ever. And he's saying basically that she and Jay-Z, they profited off of his indiscretions with her album, and then he did his album as a response. Okay, so they say that art imitates life. And I think that is quite normal, especially for writers to write stories, poems, songs that imitate real life, whether it is something happening to you or someone that you know or someone that you know of. I think that it is definitely smart if you can profit off of your pain. And at the same time, you could be helping someone else. We see this all the time when people write books, their autobiography about their life experiences. So that is not very abnormal. But I will say, I don't think that that should be almost said as a reason, where you could stay in this marriage. What if you could profit off of this? Not everyone is a songwriter. Not everyone is writing a book and has this huge audience where they could sell millions of copies all over the world and become a millionaire. Not everyone is going to be in that position. And even if they could, you'd still have to ask yourself, is all of the pain and disrespect and manipulation, would it be worth that money? Now, I will say this, when I posted last week on my IG stories about Elon Musk, one of his many baby mamas, he tried to give her hush money, 100,000 a month. Y'all were writing me back saying how you would have kept your mouth shut. And I said, I know, me too. But just to automatically almost use that as a reason, like to stay, I just wouldn't reference Beyonce and Jay-Z. And I'm a Beyonce fan. I think I own like 90% of her music. I saw the concert film Renaissance, but I still, like, I'm just not going to come up with reasons to stay that seem like worldly or based around money or material possessions. I really have to look at that whole relationship and see if it is worth it. And it kind of made me think about reality TV stars. And if he feels like if you're on a good show and it's popular, why mess up a good thing? Why don't you just stay with that man? I was almost, I had those thoughts while watching this interview between Carlos, Rasheeda, and Kirk. And it just made me think, like, did he wish that Melody stayed with Martell? Did he wish that other couples, that perhaps it was over, that he could have gotten them to stay together, or they could have convinced themselves? But I feel like there's a life to be had if you decide to walk away. There is an audience for that as well, for other women who can relate to you, or other women who need that empowerment and encouragement to do the same. So both audiences exist. And I want to say, like, some people, I remember when I was driving into the office for work, I would always listen to Erica Campbell, Erica Campbell from the gospel duo Mary Mary. And she was really pumping her marriage podcast. And so it went from her radio show having a variety of topics every day to everything was centered around dating and marriage. And I thought to myself, I get it that you want to promote the marriage podcast, but even some of your married listeners, I'm sure they are diverse in their interest and they are intelligent. They don't want to talk about the same topic every day, let alone a topic of like marriage and kids. And then, in terms of the singles, because, any smart church person who's business minded, you got to be able to incorporate the singles into the marriage ministry. Why? Because so many people are single. Her single content on the radio, in my opinion, was just saying that, single people have emotional issues from all of the bad dating experiences and they have to let that go. It just came off really accusatory. So I feel like you have to be very careful when you're promoting, marriage, and stay in a marriage where you're being cheated on, because then it just can kind of look kind of murky, like there are all these like you have like other agendas. You know what I'm saying? And when he got into Beyonce and Jay-Z being profitable, like all these thoughts came to my mind. Now, I want to say when Kirk was saying earlier in the first soundbite that there were people locally in Atlanta saying, shoot, if Kirk and Rasheeda can't make it, can't nobody make it. And he said that they were like couples goals. They also talked about in this interview where when they are shown in the blogs, so many people are in the comments calling Rasheeda dumb and saying, let that man cheat in peace. And Kirk, you know, she doesn't want you. And they talk about they are not couples goals. I do fall in the bucket of Rasheeda and Kirk not being couples goals. And it goes back much further than season 6, when we were introduced to Jasmine, the mistress, who was also the mother of his baby, Cannon. But those earlier seasons, Kirk would talk to Rasheeda like a dog. He would be disrespectful. You know, he did not seem happy when she got pregnant with Carter, but then yet he produces a baby outside of the marriage. He never seemed to really support her when she was rapping and there would be photo shoots. You know, he wouldn't hire her a stylist. She'd have to run all over town getting an outfit together, then come back to the photo shoot and get ready to film. He would always seem like a jerk, like he didn't feel like talking to her and have an attitude. And he just seemed like a butthole. So they were never couples goals for me. And then to learn about Jasmine season 6, that just added to it. Since season 6, he has lightened up, at least on camera, on how he talks to Rasheeda. And I don't know what brought on the change, if he cares what people think about him or what, or perhaps his kids called him out on it. You know, I'm not really sure. But he just always seemed like a huge jerk to me. I feel like the money and the wealth that he has been based off of her influence. Like they said, they get the streams still from Marry Me and Bubblegum, and those songs have appeared in movies and TV shows. Those are songs that she wrote and she rapped and she performed. And then she started like a cosmetic line. I remember that years ago. And she is the one who's really featured on Love and Hip Hop for several seasons now, from the beginning. So I feel like everything that he has is because he's been blessed with a wife. And that goes back to my first point with that first soundbite. Before you start in the middle and say that, you know, in our community it's unpopular for Black women to stay in a marriage where there's been cheating, you have to go back to the beginning and say, well, why are these Negroes treating us like we would not enhance their lives? Kamala ain't the only qualified woman, okay? There's Kamala and there's Michelle Obama. And I know a lot of y'all give off that energy as well. There's lots of Black women who hold it down and they create stability and love and warmth in a home. And they may not make 6 figures and be able to do it all, but they make the most out of what they have. And I always say, I feel like Black women, we should be the main demographic that is married and experience faithfulness. So y'all, don't even get me started. I think I'm also fired up because of all this Shannon Sharpe foolishness. But I thank you all so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button on this video, as it is a free way of supporting the channel. And please subscribe to Shows Style and Spirit if you have not already done so. I hope that you had a terrific Tuesday. I did. I cannot complain. And I am creating this content on a Tuesday evening after work. I have already, like, I had dinner. I did black bean burgers, you know, veggie burgers with lettuce and mustard. So good. And so now I'm going to go to the gym and chill out. So when you see this video, it could be, I may release it this same evening, Tuesday, April 22nd, or I may do it Wednesday morning. I'm still deciding, but I will talk with you all soon. And while you're watching your favorite YouTubers, don't forget to grab your water, get your water in, grab a piece of fruit, get some fruit servings in, and you'll be taking care of your body and being entertained all at the same time. And I will talk with you soon. Bye.